You cannot outcoach Dawn Staley. And we are back. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the heavyweight college basketball matchup. South Carolina Gamecocks versus LSU Tigers women's basketball. We had Angel Reese. We had Camila Cardoso. We had Anissa Morrow. We had Raven Johnson. Big name after big name. These future WNBA stars just battling. And it definitely lived up to the hype. I was on the edge of my seat the entire game. I am personally a South Carolina Gamecock fan. I'm from Philly, if you haven't figured out already, so I'm a big Dawn Staley fan. So naturally, I'm going to be a Gamecock fan, and I'm proud of that. I just want to talk about this game overall because I'm a fan of both these teams. Both these teams are top of the basketball world right now. LSU gets a lot more publicity because of players like Angel Reese, Flau'jae Johnson, Haley Van Lith. Like, there are big time names, and that was a big NIL talk. That was the discussion in the offseason. I think I did a video kind of on this, but it became like free agency basically, and LSU was getting all the big names. But South Carolina, beginning of the season, was kind of pushed off to the side, and you had like USC, UCLA, LSU, like you had these teams being pushed ahead of what South Carolina had going on. And now South Carolina is the only undefeated team, I think, in both men's and women's. I think that's correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they are the only one. I personally have been following more of the women's college basketball than the men's because it's just been more interesting to me, more relevant to me. I'm never really a huge college basketball fan when it's not March Madness, but I've been tuned in to the women because you have games like these. So let me stop beating around the bush and talk about this game. So South Carolina came out on top 76-70, and it was, if you're looking at the South Carolina side, it was kind of an ugly win. It was, starting off the game, first half was LSU all the way. You would have thought it was like a 30-point game. Like, the crowd was so loud. There were like tickets, like, again, in price at certain points were like $1,000, and it was a whiteout, and it was so loud. Oh my goodness, it was pretty chilling, honestly. It was cool to see women's basketball get like Super Bowl level attention. It seemed they blew the ratings of the NBA on TNT game. It was pretty cool. But yes. So the stadium was loud for LSU. LSU was rolling. They were getting the steals. They were just running up and down the court, and it was fast paced. I'm like, if LSU runs at this pace the entire game, South Carolina is not going to win. And South Carolina, what they needed to do was slow down the game, get physical with Angel Reese so she can get in foul trouble because they were not stopping her. Angel Reese was on one that whole game. She ended with 15 points, but it felt like she had 30 at some time. At some point, she had a bunch of blocks. She was a paint presence, and they were just having their way. Anissa Morrow is so good. I mean, she's just everywhere on the court. It, like, when you're watching the game, it immediately sticks out to you how she's flying everywhere. So you have all this going on, and the momentum is like so big that you think it's a 30-point game, but at half it becomes like a 5-point deficit. So it's okay. If you want to win this game, slow it down, get physical, get people into foul trouble, play your pace of basketball. And South Carolina is so much more deeper than LSU. It's just fact of the matter. I think they played like 3 more people than LSU did because the bench is just so much deeper. So you got to control the tempo. You got to get them tired. You got to play your brand of basketball because it was so fast paced. They weren't setting their offense, and they were chucking up shots, and it was just like it was bad shots. At some point, at the end of the second quarter, I was talking to my friend. I'm like, 3 points need to be off limits. Like, you should not be able to shoot a three until next half because nothing's going in. You need to just slow everything down and just play your brand of basketball. You're obviously not down that much, so do what you're good at. Do what you know you can do. And I think they started to do that. You started the momentum started to switch at the end of the second half, the end of the first half, second quarter, and then into the third quarter. It was a little LSU, but then South Carolina kind of turned that gear on, and it became a back and forth battle, and it was so exciting. And by the fourth quarter, South Carolina kind of had the edge, but LSU would have their moments of momentum where they would turn it on its head. And it was just exciting basketball. And it ended when they did, in fact, foul Angel Reese out, which I think they could have won if they didn't because they had the momentum even while she was playing. But it definitely helped them be able to put that away. And I mentioned that you can't outcoach Dawn Staley. And it rang true because there was a quote before the game. Kim Mulkey was saying, like, this game is going to come down to who's out coaching who. Like, Dawn's not going to outcoach me. I'm not going to outcoach Dawn. It's going to be the players. And the players are great. Their game is going to speak for themselves. But she got outcoached, especially in that second half. There was one timeout that definitely should have been called by LSU. And then Angel Reese hurt her hammy or she got a cramp or something, and she wanted to come out so they could keep going, but Kim Mulkey called a timeout because she didn't want her out at all because she was worried the momentum would slip. And because of those two errors, maybe one was an error, maybe two was a questionable decision, they had no timeouts left, and they just kind of forfeited that because when it got down to like 20 seconds, they couldn't stop the clock. So the game's pretty much over unless a miracle happens. And there's just not much you can do after that. So losing those two timeouts and Dawn just completely controlling the game and using Kim Mulkey's timeouts to get this team settled when they needed to be settled. Because she probably should have called timeout, but she didn't need to because Kim called it. So it's like, it really helped her out. So it was cool to see Dawn just like have total awareness of what was going on and to hold her fire because Kim Mulkey was firing for her. So it was just awesome. It was an awesome game. It was an awesome moment for women's sports in general. I made a TikTok about the final minute of the game, and everyone was like clowning me, like no one's watching that, blah, 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 blah. I was on Twitter, and it's like, the NBA's on, the NBA's on. All these guys in the Bleacher Report comments, and then the ratings come out, and it just crushes everything. And it's just so funny because most people understand that this is top-of-the-line basketball that's being played now, but it's the loud people that are making it seem like this is lame. This is, if you're not watching this hoops, man, it's good stuff. And I'm so excited for March because you have so many good teams, and there's a lot of parity going on, I feel like. There's not like a dominant, like South Carolina, of course, but there's a lot of really good teams that could, topple some of the big dogs. Like Colorado just lost the other night to Oregon State. And you have these upsets that happen. Ohio State beat Iowa. And it's like, man, like Iowa has arguably the best player in college basketball right now, many would say. And they still get upset when she's dropping 45. So it's like, anything can happen, and I'm so excited to see how this pans out. I truly do think, this is not even just my bias talking, I truly do think, again, it's going to be a better tournament than the men's. And I'm going to watch the men's too, because it's good basketball all around. But, like, I feel like for a long time, the narrative has been, like, the men's is the top tournament. And I feel like we see that shifting with the landscape of women's college basketball, and it's super cool because then that's going to translate to the WNBA, and that's going to grow, and it's just really, and I think this game was like a showing of how great this is going to be for the league, and how this is only going to make women's basketball, women's sports go up from here, And it's super cool to watch this tide turn when it's been looked down on like my entire life and beyond that. It's really cool to be living in the moment of seeing that shift happen. So I'm very excited. It's a very exciting time for women's sports, particularly. You have a WNBA free agency that's going to be awesome, and you have women's college basketball that's producing epic matchups like LSU and South Carolina and absolutely living up to the hype. That game was so exciting. The clutch hit by Raven down the stretch and just everyone. It was who was hitting the clutch shots. Well, let me make sure I'm getting this right because yeah, Bree Hall was hitting some shots towards the end. Raven Johnson towards the end, knocking in clutch buckets. Chloe Kitts in the first quarter was carrying that team. She was carrying the scoring. She was like, all right, everyone's not shooting great right now. Let me just turn on and see what I can do. And she was carrying them when they needed to be carried. And then when it got late, Raven Johnson, Bree turned on their jetpacks and just hit their clutch shots, hit their shots, hit their moments, play defense. It was so cool to see that the defense played throughout the game on both sides. It's just, this is like elite level, like the pinnacle of defensive basketball is played in women's college basketball especially because they are clamping each other, man. They are suffocating the opponent, and it is tense, it is competitive, it's awesome. So yeah, if you're not watching the women's college basketball right now, tune in. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I think you should give it a shot. So yeah, that's all I got to say about this. I was just so excited. I needed to get something out about it. I haven't posted a video in 2 weeks. My posting might get a little spotty, but I'm going to do my best to at least get a video out maybe once every other week. Hopefully once a week. We'll see. But yeah, let me know what you thought. Let me know who you think is going to win it all this year, even though it might be too early to say. Throw out a prediction. All right, let me know what you think. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that. All right, peace out.